Guild Wars 2 did a whole hell of a lot of things right. The look of the game, the open approach to adventuring in groups, the world versus world, the character customization. There's a lot to love in that game. 6 months later, and I still play it every chance I get, but if there's one thing I'd change after all these months, I'd bring back specific roles for group-oriented content. Yes, folks, in Guild Wars 2, I'd bring back the Holy Trinity. My recent foray into the Neverwinter beta weekend sealed this. It felt good to have specified roles again. It felt good to have tanks, healers, and DPS folks in the fray. I know players of Guild Wars 2 love that there are new and different roles to be played in those dungeons, but it just doesn't feel the same for me. I think the trinity of heals, tanking, and DPS, and then sort of support roles wasn't broken to begin with, so why fix it? But why is the trinity still not perfect as it stands in an MMO? Because it requires you to have certain people at certain times, and you wind up looking for folks more than you end up playing with them. This isn't good. This is precisely why ArenaNet made the Trinity extinct in Guild Wars 2. Mind you, there are still roles of a sort in Tyria, but I feel like simply getting rid of such a solid system because of the organizational woes was short-sighted. The problem isn't the Trinity itself. The problem is getting the right mix of willing people together, and that's a problem that can be fixed. Final Fantasy XI managed to almost fix the Holy Trinity problem way back in the early 2000s. By merely allowing everyone to play every class and switch between them, you had situations where healers, tanks, and DPS could simply be changed whenever you needed them to. The problem was that you still had to level each class, and in Final Fantasy XI, that was no small feat. So if you needed a healer, you couldn't just become one for the appropriate content without first leveling them up. The problem was only half solved. Funcom's The Secret World tried something similar with its classless deck build-based system. It works a little better here, but you still have to have the prerequisite skills to heal, tank, and DPS in order to fill the right roles. The problem again lies in that players have to level each one of these roles, even though the game doesn't have levels, and you have to have them available at any given time only after you've gained those skills, which again takes time and time and time. So here then is my solution. Armchair designer that I am. Healers, tanks, and DPS utility, let everyone do all of them. Let your traditional sword and shield tanks take on the role of a healer if they need to. Let your priests tank and melt faces if they need to DPS. Let your rogues hold aggro and raise the dead. No, not all at once. But I'm of the belief that Final Fantasy XI was really onto something with the notion that any one character could play any class. They just didn't go far enough with the system to make it truly useful in a party role dynamic. The Secret World was also onto something similar, though you still had to level in that levelless game to get the requisite skills for different roles. Neither of them went far enough. I don't think a player should have to play different classes, and I don't think they should be forced to rehash content again to gain the ability to play other roles. Instead, I'd like to see some game brave enough to just apply several roles to each class and let players toggle between the roles as needed. Out of combat, of course. Maybe I like playing a warrior. I like using my shield, hacking away at monsters, but maybe my group needs someone to heal, and not another tank this time. I should be able to decide to be the healer of my group, and instead of my attacks and skills providing me with aggro management and protective abilities, maybe they heal my allies in an AoE manner. Maybe I can choose one member of my party to receive some of the damage I do to my enemies as healing. This way I'm not changing what class I like to play, I'm generally just changing what it does in the group, based on that group's needs. Again, I'm no designer. I can't imagine what problems this might pose. Heck, maybe someone's already tried it and can't get it to work. And there are other issues when it comes to role-based games as well. No one likes waiting around to find someone to play with, and then there's a strong sect of players who cringe at the thought of dungeon finders getting rid of this issue, and their effects on the community. I'm not saying the ideas put forth here are some silver bullet that's going to fix everything wrong with the MMO, but I know one thing. Neverwinter, this past beta weekend, made me realize just how much I love the Trinity, and that I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.